Alright, so this is the third video, part 3. So I pump up in the heat and settle tote. Out of the heat and settle tote, it then comes down, and I'll take it out of this port, which is a 2-inch port. I try to have a habit of always adding a 1-inch valve, so that I'm not turning the main one, just because this is easy to replace if I ever break it. That is not. Then after I added this, I started thinking about it, and if I ever have to tell somebody to come back and shut off this flow, then there's too many of these black valves, so I had this blue handle one, thinking I could tell them to come back, just flip this. So a little extra work. Add these pieces of wood so that this is actually, it's got a lot of weight on it coming out, so I didn't want to stress out that valve again. This right here is a solenoid, 3/4 inch, 120, normally closed from due to diesel. So if I ever lose power to my centrifuge, it should also cut off the flow and then go down. So then from here it goes into this 3/4 inch pipe, which comes into the pipe bomb. So back over here in the first video I told you about the switches, I have pipe bomb and centrifuge. So those two outlets there control these two switches here. The one that has, this one is the pipe bomb, which is the heater, and this one is the centrifuge. I put a brick on there because this is also the normally closed solenoid. So if the centrifuge loses power, so does the solenoid, which then cuts off the flow. Back to the pipe heater. With this, you want the output to be going straight in the centrifuge, but you want to feed from the top. Some of these are tilted sideways. I want mine in the front, so if I ever have to change this heater element, just to me it was easier. And then I also never have any standing oil. So if you have this upright and have this coming out, the oil that, if you picture it like this, then the oil would be weird and it would basically get trapped up in here and maybe not used. So I figured this way, heat rises, so the hottest oil will always be in this cavity. I put this loop on it because in theory heat rises, so some guys will take it straight out and up to their feet, but I can touch right here, no problem. Like I'm gripping this and it stays cool. If you touch right here on the top side of this, it's super hot. So in theory, if the flow, something gets restricted in here, it can start heating uprise and sending hot oil back up into my main tank, which I don't want. So only hot oil can get out right here. Hot oil can't go down there, just the way heat rises. So that's that. That red light tells me when this thermostat kicks on. So the power comes in, the hot comes in, and it goes over to the thermostat. The thermostat, I just use baling wire to attach it. I built this arm coming up, and then I put a piece of aluminum that I drilled into the wood so that the pipe, which gets really hot, won't be directly on the wood. And then just use hose clamps to attach it to the piece of wood. Baling wire to attach the thermostat. Thermostat is set at 150, so whenever the pipe's 150, not necessarily the oil inside, but when you first turn it on, it kicks on an awful lot. Now it only comes on every like 2-3 minutes. And then it feeds over to your hot water heater element. This also is tapped into and turns on the light, so I can tell when the pipe's actually on. In the beginning, I use that for setting up the flow, and then it comes in. I took whatever this is called, the handle off of this valve up here, because this gets really hot to touch over time, so I just hang it here. And then there's a coupler in case I ever take the lid off. This valve right here is made so that you can set the flow of the oil going into the centrifuge. Coming out of the centrifuge, once it's running, I built this. This is a little weird and a little crazy, but I found that it works great. So this is again my oil that I can pump right back up my heat and settle tote. So when I'm trying to set the flow of the oil, I just rotate this up, and then you can see my oil coming out. And so this is where I'll set the flow. When you're initially setting it up, you don't know how, you want to wait for it to get really warm before you do it. So if I shut this valve, it'll fill this up and then eventually just drain over into this tank. Once I get the flow right, then I just tilt this down and it goes into my drum back here, which I'll cover more. When the centrifuge is turned off and loses power, it drains out this valve. So that's pretty much it on the centrifuge. I'll probably have to do a 4th video at least to tell you about post centrifuge and how I tell if it's clean or not, but that is the majority of it. Feel free